How to brew Taiwanese Oolong tea. In this video, two different approaches so that you can choose the one that best suits you. Hi guys, this is Gabriele from Nannuoshan. We will share the pleasure of drinking and discovering genuine farm tea. Today we speak about Oolong tea, but not general Oolong tea. We want to focus on Taiwanese Oolong tea, one of my favorite tea overall. And we want to bring to you different approaches to the brewing so that you can look at different perspectives. For that, I'm not alone, otherwise you would get only one perspective. We want two perspectives. I have a guest here in the Berlin Nannuoshan studio, and he's Mauzi. So Mauzi, come in, get a chair. You will see his face very soon. He's very tall, so it doesn't fit in the camera just by walking and passing by. So, welcome Mauzi.
Hi.
Here's Mauzi. Mauzi is the nickname on which you are on the Discord channel.
Yeah, exactly.
But your real name, can we say that?
Yeah, it's Maurice.
Maurice?
Yeah, you can name me either way. I'm fine with that.
Good. And I will continue with Mauzi, but Discord, just for those that don't know what we are talking about, is a platform, an online platform, where we share information about tea. We just have tea classes there with video calls. Sometime in the evening, I would just text a message, do you have time, and we just meet there and have some tea together. That's actually how Mauzi and I knew each other, I would say, through that platform. Yeah. Cool. So Mauzi, I remember that you're fond of Taiwanese Oolong, and in particular, Donding.
Yes, I'm very well known for that.
And so, which better occasion than having Mauzi here in Berlin and go deep into the brewing of Taiwanese Oolong. For that, we have chosen a tea. Actually, Mauzi have chosen it. We have one for Mauzi, one for me. It is Shan, a fairly light version of it, right? We have a darker version on the website as well. And this is a new tea. It was introduced on the shop just short ago. And you can find more details. I will put the link in the description below, maybe up in the screen, but that's not the point today. By the way, Mauzi, we have different type of Taiwanese Oolong tea, right? Of course, most of the tea in Taiwan is Oolong, but here we want to focus on the rolled one, right? What other teas there are out there?
Well, if we are talking about oolongs in Taiwan, then we still have other teas like Guifei cha, where the most famous Dongfang Mairen is part of, and other ones would be like Baozhong. So I wouldn't recommend the brewing methods we are showing here for these.
For those, yeah, okay. So, but because Baozhong is an open leaf, or better, it twisted along the length. So here this is Carly leaves is rolled. Concerning Guifei, you have both. You have types like Dongfang Meiren, Oriental Beauty, that are actually open leaf tea. But you have also Guifei that are rolled. Maybe for those rolled one, why not? You could try, could work. But otherwise, most of the Taiwanese Oolong are rolled, like this one that we have here. Let's have a look at the leaves, maybe. I just open up mine and take a little quantity to show how it looks like. You can even hear that it's just little pairs, and yeah, that's the tea actually. So I'll try to show here in the side camera. Hopefully it will get through, otherwise we will show a video on the screen. We have pictures of it. It's fairly tightly rolled, actually. And now we come to the different approaches we want to take. So there are, of course, different parameters you can tune in the brewing. And also just overall different approaches and different nuances that are difficult to describe. And the best thing is actually that you look at us and you will realize yourself what are the differences, right? So let's brew them together. Let's start maybe, I mean, if we say different parameters, what would be, the first one you think of?
Temperature.
Temperature, okay. Water temperature. So concerning water temperature, well, I have a clear number in my mind. Let's see if Mauzi has a different one. I would actually use boiling water.
I would do the same.
Okay, so here we are aligned. We are aligned with the temperature. Of course, I was kind of expecting the answer because if there is a difference between the two of us, is me probably going for lower temperature than you. So if I go with 100 degrees, then Mauzi probably would like to go with 110. We use pressurized water.
Well, actually, I would heat up everything so much that it really stays
okay,
at
that really
100
stay
degrees.
at 100 degrees. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So let's say we have first parameter, water temperature. Sorry guys, no difference here between the two perspectives. We both go with 100 degrees temperature. And there is a good reason for that. Taiwanese Oolong is very aromatic, but it's also very resilient. It's difficult to get bitterness, strong bitterness out of it, as you can get from other teas. So you can really push it. And I have a little anecdote about that, a little story. A friend of mine was not able to get out of the tea in his place, out of the Taiwan Oolong, that taste that he knew from China. And he thought it's just a difference, between water in China and in Europe. He came to my place and he said, okay, that same tea actually tastes better here than in my place. And we realized that is because of the altitude. He lives up in the mountain, and there we calculated and the water boiled at a few degrees below 100 degrees centigrade. And just that little thing made the difference for him. So really push it. If you're not sure about that, try with 85 and with 100, and you will see usually render better. So second parameter, brewing time. So here I mean, I think the brewing time, it really also depends how much leaves we use. Sometimes I varies that. So maybe we have first to decide what we use today in terms of leaves quantity. What would you like to go with?
So my go-to would be around 5 grams for 100 milliliter, maybe 6 grams.
5 to 6 grams for 100 milliliter. Okay. Yeah. We have actually here 100 milliliter guy one. So that nice. Helps. And we can weight your sample and see how much there is inside. I already weighted mine, and I will tell you later how much there is in here. So let's go with, so like that. Let's go. Not bad, actually. It's 6.1. Let's stick to it.
Yeah, let's stick to that.
Okay, so Mauzi is steeping the tea with 6 grams for 100 milliliter, and myself will go with 3 grams only. So it's just a half. Yeah. So here you have already a big difference. Now, we already put the leaves inside, right? We both mentioned we would warm up the pot. Now, there are two ways of doing that. You can warm up the pot before you put the leaves inside or after. The very difference is only that if the pot is already warm and then you put the leaves, you already get these dry leaf fragrance more pronounced because of the heat. But since we will, at least myself, let's see what Mauzi say, but I will wash the leaves. I will warm up anyway the pot. Do you usually wash Taiwan Oolong?
No.
Oh, and you want to warm it? Shall we pour it back in the lattice? Okay.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Okay, you see, so here you say I was unprepared. I was expecting that. Oh wait, I have this tool. I was expecting that Mauzi would actually rinse the leaves. So you see, there is another difference. Mauzi does not rinse the Taiwan Oolong, and Gabriele does.
I was panicking a bit.
All right, here we go. So we said 100 degrees water. Let's warm it up, and then we get started. So you have already a few parameters there. Water temperature, 100 degrees centigrade, boiling water. What's that in Fahrenheit? I go by memory, 212.
210 or 12, yes.
One of the two, we will write it on the screen. But I mean boiling temperature at sea level. Then we say the quantity, 6 grams for 100 milliliter, 3 grams for 100 milliliter. What about brewing time? Do you go by feeling? Do you go by time?
Since I would count, not by feeling. And
Okay.
since I don't wash the teas, I will increase the first infusion by 5 seconds. So my first infusion would be 25 seconds. The second one as well, because I always go by 5 seconds. And then I would continue with 30, 35.
Okay, just 5 by 5. And the first one a little longer because they are curled.
And I give them a spin when I pour the water in.
To make them rotating, and so that they open up easier. So yeah, you want to do the first steeping a little bit longer if the leaves need to unfurl, because they would release the fragrance a little bit slower when they're closed. In my case, I will wash the leaves, and although with that wash, that rinse, they will not open up already. Sometimes I do a first steep a little bit longer, sometimes not. It's a little bit less important. Yeah. You have here the water waste container you need. I have to say, you know what?
Let's put the teapot to the side.
You really made a buff to the teapot here. Okay. That's why we have, exactly. Okay, so may I?
Mm-hmm.
We have to use our tool because there was a little bit of water already in the guy one. We really want Mauzi to use all 6 grams here. So Mauzi start with 25 seconds. I will start something between 30 and 45. As said, you really don't need to be precise to the second, then it depends also a little bit on the type of tea, to me. And as said, it's resilient. It will not ruin the tea or make it completely different, just plus minus 5 or 10 seconds. This means that maybe we said about 5 to 10 seconds difference, you go shorter. So I pour first in mine, then I pour in yours, and we can pour out together.
So you're not making a rinse today?
Oh yes, I said I did. Yeah, I forgot. Wait. I have to wait. I will make a rinse. And it's also, by warming up the gaiwan first, you have a more clear scent of the dry leaves. But if you don't do the rinse, then you will smell the wet leaves only together with the first brew, basically. It's not working today somehow. All right.
Yeah, until they dry. Completely different. Completely different.
Really?
This one is way more flowery, I would say.
Oh, now you should have done, but I tried to do the far this way. That's what you meant, right?
Exactly.
When you pour it a little bit on the side of the gaiwan, and the leaves rotate like on a...
And I will also give them a small swirl, like this.
Okay, just to favor. I think we are close to 30. We just got by the feeling, but here is also about the difference between the two. And I said, if you really want to go 25, you probably have to pour out. As you can see, we are not using a strainer. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on the type of tea I'm brewing. I know that this tea is fairly clean. There is not big chunk of leaves floating around. And so I'm not using a strainer. Otherwise, I would use something like this. And you can see it's used. We use it. What would you do? Strainer or not strainer?
I would usually not use a strainer for any kind of tea. Maybe shoe.
Maybe shoe just
or
okay.
aged Shane.
Okay. So no strainer, and I would say sometimes, but not today. Let's compare the color. Do we see any difference? Yeah, I don't see any.
No, not really.
Similar. So let's do like that. On your left cup it is, and my left cup is mine, and the other way around. So these go on left and on left. Now it's interesting. We have doubled the quantity of the leaves and a little bit shorter steeping time. My leaves are fully open by now. Yours as well. Yeah. You can clearly see also some oxidation. Look at that leaf.
Oh yeah.
Also there, you can see a lot of brown spots.
It's a bit darker than your typical high mountain oolong.
Yeah, yeah. What do you want to start with?
Let's go with yours.
Mine? Okay. Clean taste. There is like a freshness to it, like fresh air. It reminds me of a floral meadow, maybe. Flower meadow, I mean. Too weak for you?
No,
it's
okay. Actually very nice. But it is missing a slight punch, I think.
A little bit of strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's side compare. Yeah, that's stronger. I have to say here, this feels also warmer. It's not warmer, but the fact that the flavor is more intense, it's more mouth-filling in terms of aroma, but it removes a little bit of that clean freshness.
It has more of a rough, fruity note in the back, I think.
Yeah. But it's really tasty. I like it. I haven't tasted it for a while.
But I think it comes down to the fact that when I drink tea and I buy tea, I always look for texture. That's why Pear, one of my favorites. Black tea maybe not so much.
I see. Yeah, you have both aspects, right? Most people would look more for aroma, especially, mainstream drinker. Don't think of texture when they drink a tea. But when you start drinking tea at a certain level, texture is a major component, in particular with some teas. And Mauzi just mentioned Pear, for example, where the texture can be dramatically different, from very rough to very smooth. Can compare that like with a cream and
like oil,
yeah, super soft, and I don't know, and maybe the texture of a Coca-Cola in a way,
kind of, yeah.
Let's do it the other way around now. It's always good to go, I think, forth and back. We start with yours. Thirst quenching. Now let's see if after that one mine feels really weaker. Well, you certainly appreciate mine way less after having been drunk your, because that intensity is a little bit covering, let's say, the nuances.
And also I get a very vegetable note from yours now.
Because you have less, all those maybe fruity aroma didn't come out yet as much, yeah. So you would have just 5 seconds, and I say we are not measuring it now, we do more of a relative comparison. This means I would probably go for pretty much the same now, same time, And you would do 5 seconds more
No.
than before?
I would go for the same for the second infusion as well.
You go
Because
for the
I
same.
increased the
Ah,
first
okay,
infusion.
okay. So we do pretty much exactly the same.
Mhm.
Here we go. Then we will see how it evolves. Going to wash those. Now it's impossible to make them twisting, but it's no more needed. Maybe we can put more water after we pour out, because we say we don't keep it very long. So this will be again about 30-35 for me and 25 for Mauzi. Okay. Good.
Cool.
Actually hold the guy one in the same way with the little finger on the bottom. Yeah, let's fill the kettle so that we are ready for the next brew. And in the meantime, I have a question actually for Mauzi, because he's good at multitasking. And the question is when you brew, or do you actually brew Taiwan Oolong sometime in a niching pot, or you always use Gaiwan?
Well, I use clay pots actually a lot for dongding, but not niching and not yishing, but instead I go for niching. Because niching doesn't have as much effect on the taste or on the texture, but it keeps the heat very, very well.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going for with niching.
I understand, yeah. And let's say when you use a clay pot, do you do anything different?
I would probably increase the brewing time a lot.
All of them?
Yes. And have less infusions that way.
Okay.
But
and same quantity of leaves, 6 grams,
Yeah.
400 milliliters. So, and for me, I don't change much. I don't change anything in the parameters. I stick with my 100 degrees centigrade, the 3 grams. Sometimes I might go for 4 grams and 5 grams, I have to say. It really depends how I feel. But if I were with the classic one, would be 3 grams for 100 milliliter. One thing that maybe I change is the way I keep the pot warm. So I would use a little, let's say, a plate that can contain some water, and from time to time I would pour hot water also on the outside of the pot, so that the pot itself is really at 100 degrees.
everything that keeps it warm is perfect.
Okay. Something you cannot really do on a Gaiwan is very tricky, also because if you put hot water on a Gaiwan, you will not touch it anymore. It warms up everything, while here you can warm up the body without affecting the handle.
And would you go for clay because of some effect it has on the tea, or just because of the heat?
The heat is probably the main component. In fact, I would actually choose, for a similar reason like you choose niching, I would choose Juni, because it's more neutral. It's a harder clay, and it has a little bit less minerality that goes from that clay into the tea, so it's a bit more neutral, but really keeps the heat very well. Yeah, it certainly affects a little bit also the taste. Yeah, that's true. Let's start with mine. That's probably lighter.
Similar to the first one.
By the way, it's a Qingshin cultivar. We didn't say that.
And I always say there's this typical Qingshin taste, and this comes slowly in your brew.
Slower than in yours.
Let's find out. No, I think in my it's still a bit covered from the other tastes.
But so for me, there is less difference now between the two than before. But to find out, we have really to taste them the other way around and see if because before, after having drunk Mauzi's, I noticed that mine was way weaker. So let's see if I have that same impression or not. Do you have the slightly metal sensation as well? At least there is something on both I associate with cold metal. I don't know.
It goes into the direction which I call the Xing taste, which I always imagine as the big leaves from the Xing cultivar. If you eat them, which I sometimes do, it tastes exactly like this.
Fresh leaves or?
Yeah, like
where do you
brewed
find
leaves.
fresh leaves? Ah, brewed, okay.
And this is the taste every Xing cultivar basically has after the 5th or 6th infusion, maybe. They always taste the same, for me at least.
Okay, so when you wash out a little bit the main aromas and only the essence of the leaves remain. So yeah, no, it's still stronger Mauzi's, I have to say. Now going in the opposite direction, you really notice the difference. Yeah, it's incredible to me how, and I pointed that multiple times, going in the two directions makes a difference in the perception of the teas. But without further ado, you go 5 seconds longer. I go quite substantially longer. I would go now maybe 45 seconds instead of 30. I had like 15. So how do we do? I certainly start with mine, and I will pour a little bit after you. You go with 30, I go with 45, basically. More or less. I know that you guys are using a timer there. Won't be that precise, but I would say that the difference between us will be about 15 seconds. That there you can use a timer and let me know if we are good with that. We should have turned off the heating before starting. I feel the heat from the tea, and we are surrounded by heating element. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to go. Of course, my tea will be less yielding than yours, as you have doubled the leaves. But you can also say that way his tea is double that expensive.
Not really, since I'm getting out more.
Yeah, but the question is by the end you get up double.
I don't think so.
Now you really see a color difference, at least from this perspective. Let's pull the picture up and see. Tiny bit darker, but not much, huh?
Not much.
Okay.
And lots of hairs in mine.
Wait, I empty your cup. Really good.
Do you see the hairs? The hair.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's super tiny, right? Those you wouldn't even get out with a strainer. It comes through. There are just the very little hair that protect the leaf. So, but I mean, look, in the cup, you clearly see a different in color, yeah? So yours is really more intense yellow. Hot. It's good to brew them at high temperature. It's not so good to drink them at high temperature. So sometimes you really need to cool them down. Not only because you risk to burn your tongue and your palate, but also because your tasting buds are more sensible or sensitive when the brew is a bit colder. Yeah, now it's certainly yours is way more juicy, really. It's
oh yeah.
Also in the mouth you get really more saliva. Yeah,
it's also a bit more creamy in the feeling of it, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
So
more milky.
milky, yeah.
Yeah.
It has a milky taste. The first two infusion, I probably would really stick with mine. I like that light start, but having tasted it now, I would definitely go for a longer brew in the next one, like a minute, let's say, at least. And here we discover another aspect. You need to adapt your brewing. Not only because tea are different, tea change over time. This tea in half a year will taste different, but also because you might have a different day. You might have eaten something different. So you start at a certain pace, you know what to expect. That doesn't mean your expectation. You adjust the next one, right? So here we'll go for something about, you go for 35 basically, and I go for about a minute. So yeah, let's give me water. Very large leaves. Yeah, here, let's show one leaf.
Wow.
Very large. All right. About a minute.
And now our two different brewing methods will split apart even more, since, I mean, you brew for how long now?
Yeah, I will do now a minute, and you
I
say
will do half. Basically.
Yeah, half 35. Yeah, with double the leaves. And I already did an experiment like this where double the leaf with half the time doesn't bring you the same taste. Just that you know.
At least in the first infusion.
Yeah, I mean at the very end, yeah, but it's really not linear. And we didn't say that for a good reason, because we even didn't think about it. But there is no sign at all of bitterness.
Oh no.
It's like the last thing you would think of.
I think mine is getting a bit astringent.
Slightly drying sensation, although I have to say that was really nice. It's also very mineral. You get, I feel it on the palate, like the minerality.
I think you have to go.
But of course, when you do a minute, if you do 1 minute 10 or 1 minute 15, it's not the end of the world. If you want to do 30 seconds and you do 45, that's the difference. So the longer you brew, the less error you can do. So if you're a beginner, that might even be a reason for going with less leaves. With less leaves, you are less affected by mistake.
But if you are a beginner, you will mess up often enough to like the taste of overbrewed tea.
That's a point, yeah.
Maybe. Oh yeah.
I'll use a bit dark. But still, again, the light is very difficult actually.
Yeah, not much.
Not much. The taste is very different. Let's see now with double the brewing time, if they get closer or not. It's very hot.
Also, maybe a slight detail you could have missed is that at least I keep the lid intentionally on to as well retain the heat.
Yeah. And you really want to keep it closed to make sure even no air damp comes out.
Okay, let's start reviews.
It's still really very light in a way, yeah. The taste is there, but it's very light, soft.
For me, the texture is missing a bit.
The texture is missing, yeah. Let's go with the pear juice, since the Shan means pear mountain. It was once they were planting a lot of pears trees there.
Oh.
That's why, yeah. And by the way, I mean, Taiwan is also very famous for fruit plantations, also pineapple. There has been a time where tea was not really yielding much in terms of money, and they were just replacing tea fields with the pineapple plants. Yeah, so the climate is just right also for a lot of. Yeah. All right, so here I would say we are really sticking with that very difference. Yeah, your is more mineral, more juicy, more intense, and mine is cleaner, lighter. It has a more fluid texture. You can even think about honey when you pour honey on the table and it doesn't flow down, you know, it sticks. So when you drink the juicy tea, it sticks on your palate. I kind of even have the feeling like it would be there and is slowly flowing down. And mine is more washing the palate, basically. It's more this light sensation. So at the end, is a matter of taste. It really depends what do you feel like.
It's like a glaze, you could say.
Like a?
A glaze.
Glaze. What's glaze?
Like glasur in German.
Ah, yeah. Exactly, yes. It's really coating the mouth. All right, yeah, I think, you know, we could continue for a while. Like, I would even now go higher and higher. There is not much you can do with 3 crowns of leaves. We have done, in terms of infusions, we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, I think.
4 or 5.
4 or 5.
I was at 35, right?
Yeah, 25, 25, 30, 35, 4. So these maybe have one more, and I would probably, you know, get everything out of it. Since it doesn't come any bitterness, you can do your last tip very long. Probably you would go for how many more?
8 or 9.
So there is still a long way to go on this side here. So I hope you have enjoyed. You probably you got the feeling on the, depending on your taste, on the, also the body reaction. You have to say your body reaction with the juicer tea is really more heating and more powerful, right? Although in temperature wise they are the same. And yeah, try it out and let us know in the comments below whether you go usually for Mauzi style or for Gabe's style, let's say. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like. It's important for us. We like your likes. And subscribe the channel if you haven't done it so. Guys, I'll see you next week. And who knows, maybe Mauzi, you will join me in another video on another time. Bye guys, and come on Discord if you haven't done so. You have a link in the description below.